Good evening and welcome back to Review Morgue. Jeanie, are you ready to review this movie?
Absolutely not, but we're going to anyway. So,
We had a very interesting conversation about this film before we got on here to record. And so we're just going to get right on into it.
mhm.
And we are reviewing another Roger Corman film, Tales of Terror, 1962. And as you can see behind me, it is Vincent Price, Peter Lorre, Basil Rathbone, and Debra Paget. There's other actresses and actors in it as well, but those are the big names.
Yeah, the big four.
The big four and the big three of horror. Besides, we don't have Karloff in this one.
No fun. I mean, yeah, we don't have who's the other one?
Well,
I
like
always get the names
Lugosi,
in there. There's Boris,
Lugosi,
and then there's
Bella.
yeah, Bella Lugosi.
Yeah, those
What
I said
is
Lugosi. All
yeah.
right. So this film was basically let's see, I think is it the fourth film are we on, Jeannie?
I'm pretty sure, yes. Let me double check
Yeah. So
my records.
while you're looking, I'll kind of keep talking about it. And so
Yeah.
yes, and the cool thing is that this film has three different tales. So it's basically an anthology. And the three tales that Corman did were the first one, Morella. Then he did the Black Cat, but there is also infused in the Black Cat the Cask of Amontillado. And then the third tale is the facts in the case of Monsieur Valdemar. It's usually shown as M. Dot.
Kim Voldemar, yes.
And so to me, just to kind of just start right off the bat,
Yes, this is the fourth one.
okay, cool. Thank you. To start
Hmm.
kind of just right off, these three tales were so close to Poe's work with just a little bit of tweaking that they did that I forgot how much I enjoyed this film early on when I first saw it. And so and this one, for whatever reason, I haven't watched as much as some of the other ones. And so it was a nice, like, kind of surprise coming back to it after a very long time and remembering all of these things. So uh,
Okay.
we're going to talk about getting the IMDb pulled up real quick. But this again was made in 1962. The writers credited obviously Edgar Allan Poe and Richard Matheson. And Richard Matheson is one of the greats. I Am Legend was probably his biggest work, but he also wrote for Twilight Zone. And so just having his name on this, you can tell that this was done with fidelity,
Yeah.
in my
I
opinion.
mean, I don't know if I want to. I'm not ready to start yet. Keep going.
Okay. Okay, well, so I'll share a little
I
bit
don't think
about.
I'll be able to stop until I get when I get started. So yeah, keep
Uh-oh,
going.
uh-oh.
Yeah.
So the first tale, we'll just go right into it, was Morella. And when basically the story of Morella was the unnamed narrator married this beautiful woman, Morella, and she ended up dying in childbirth. And the unnamed narrator was so distraught at her death that he could not name the child because he felt like that the child killed her because it was during childbirth. And so, not until her 10th birthday did the unnamed narrator actually name her at her baptism. But all he did was he whispered, Morella. And then it was like his wife came back, and then the end, where I don't want to
Yeah.
spoil anything else. So the story was very similar, except that Vincent Price was estranged from his daughter. He had nothing to do with his daughter after his wife's death. And in this story for film, the Morella died a few months after the child was born. And in this one, the child's name was Lenora. And so I thought
Mhm.
that was really interesting that they changed that up a little bit. So the daughter has come back. She's 26. She says she is very ill. And so she doesn't have that much time. So they kind of patch things up, and he asks her to stay. And then weird things start happening. And
Well,
so I was going to kind of share with with our people who the other actors or actresses were. So
okay.
the daughter was played by Maggie Pierce, and some of her well-known works was this film, and she was also known for The Man from Uncle from
Hmm.
1964 and The Fastest Guitar Alive in 1967. So that's her biggest credits. And then Morella was played by Liana Gage. And what she was known for was this movie, Scream of the Butterfly from 1965, and then A House is Not a Home from 1964. So both of those actresses didn't have as big of credits as Debra Paget did, and we'll talk about her a little bit later. And so, I don't want to spoil it too well, but some of the things that I noticed that I liked about this, again, it's very true to Poe's original story, but also, and I know Jeanie, I think, is going to disagree with me on this, but
Hmm.
just based on our previous conversation, the house was on the outside, it looked very dark, like charcoal gray. It was set on this by the sea, and the inside was like this whitish gray, almost chalky. And things were covered, there were cobwebs, things like that. But what stood out was at the dining room table, there were all these red goblets, there were red candles in different places. And and when Vincent Price came out, he had on kind of a darker like dressing gown, but Lenora had on this very vibrant royal blue dress. And so it was like those colors really, it made the characters pop, and it kind of put the focus on Lenora as she came back into his life. So,
True.
Jeannie, thoughts on the Morella story?
Okay, so here we go. All right. The very beginning of it already uh, bothered me
Okay.
because they started with a beating heart.
Yes, they
So
did.
it was very much an homage to Telltale Heart. And I'm going, wait a minute, this is not the right story. So, once more, Corman, and we know, and the writers, sometimes they like to throw in some other parts
Mm-hmm.
of other stories. But that one really kind of bothered me.
Okay.
Uh, because I'm like, it's a misnomer. It's
Yeah.
not giving you I mean, it's trying to build that suspense. And I think this is the one thing that was bothering me the most for each one of these. It's like they were trying too hard
Okay.
to try to build the horror aspect of it instead of letting it, develop naturally. It was and I know a lot of people, and I don't want to make, don't start sending me emails, people. I'm not a big graphic horror, you know, kind of Halloween fan because I'm sorry, Mike Myers moved at a snail's pace, and Jamie Lee Curtis could never get away from him. So, because he
True.
always showed up when she fell. Uh, and I was like, okay, but this is what really bothered me. Yes, the coloring was perfect. The house by the sea, first of all, was definitely a bother because it looked too much like the fall of the House of Usher. It had that
A little
vibe.
bit. Yeah, it's got that gothic vibe, which of course that was, I love that.
Yeah.
So,
But it just was like, what was the point?
yeah.
What was the point of showing the house from the outside? That was one of the problems that I had. I was like, there's no point to this. Then when she shows up and she goes in and she starts seeing all these cobwebs and had the decrepit nature of the house. She
Hmm.
goes into the dining room and like you said, all these, this giant webbing, it's covering this whole table and you can see the red outside and then out walks this tarantula.
Yeah, I forgot about
And
that.
I'm going,
Now that was that's definitely a Hollywood thing just to get a jump scare out of people. But
well, the problem that I had is that tarantulas don't do that much webbing. I'm sorry, but okay. I mean, yes, they do have webs, but they don't make them like that. So anyway,
there's probably other spiders, Jeanie.
that was my point. You show a tarantula, but there's not one other stinking spider anywhere in that place to make that many cobwebs.
Okay.
Really? So, okay. So, well, first of all, I don't like spiders to begin with. So I was like,
No, I don't
that
either.
was crap. But yeah, and then where it has Morella that was supposedly buried but isn't.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I'll say to that.
Yeah.
But uh
Yeah, that
it
was
was like,
creepy. That was very
well,
creepy.
Vincent Price, it's like he was struggling to me
Hmm.
with this character because he was struggling because he was trying to make him this grief-stricken, hateful man who, got rid of his daughter because he blamed her for murdering. Because he even says, "Your murderer has come back."
Yes. Hmm.
And it's like, that bothered me because it just felt forced. I didn't feel it. It was like this was one character that Vincent wasn't convincing me.
Okay.
Um, and it was like, it's like he was phoning it in. Let's just say it that way.
Okay. Okay.
And then, of course, Lenora, as we talked about with the name, I'm like, well, yeah, that's homage because that's to Edgar too. So uh, it just, why now? I guess that was the one big glaring thing
Hmm.
is that, yes, she says that, the doctor's only given her a few months to live,
Right.
but there's a giant plot hole to where, well, then what's wrong with you? You don't look sick. You don't act sick. And why all of a sudden did you just show up after 26 years to a house, to a father that threw you away when you were like 5 months old?
Right.
So, and I mean, I know it was building and I know it was designed to tell the story, and they had to use this because of the suspense and the build because it's a tale of terror.
Hmm.
It just felt too forced.
Okay.
It was like, okay, Poe wrote the story. All you have to do is just follow the story,
True.
you know.
Hmm.
But it's like there was too much Hollywood. I guess is what was the problem for me. There
Okay.
was just too much Hollywood. And the only thing I got really excited about was at the end. because it was like all of a sudden, finally, it made, it finally got to that point to where I'm like, hey, this could have happened and you could have had this story done in 5 minutes from beginning to, from the very first where she shows up until the last scene. It's like, you didn't
Yeah.
need all that in the middle.
Yeah. Well, and I do agree that there is the plot hole of not really knowing what was wrong with the daughter and why she really did come back. But I mean, she kind of came back because she was sick and just wanted one last chance to, you know, amend things with her father.
Well, yeah, and I knew that's kind of where they were going with it, but it's like they just let it let it out and then it just fell flat.
Yeah.
It
Well,
was like,
and I think that they probably made the daughter older than what Poe's story had her as, because I don't want
yeah, they
to
did
give
some
anything
licensing with
away if
that.
anybody
Yeah.
hasn't read Morella. Because, and so I think they did that just to give it a little bit more added dimension maybe to this, man that's tormented himself, since his wife died, blaming the daughter. And then it's like, and then she comes back. So it's again building suspense where if you did take it straight from Poe's story and not change anything, it still would have had the suspense based on the similarities of the deaths. I don't want to give too much away.
Hmm.
But yeah, so I mean, I see your point. I did enjoy it. I did, but I agree that there is a little bit of plot hole there.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the actors and everything, it was straight up Hollywood creation
Yeah.
because it was so melodramatic.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's what really bothers me because the 60s were, late 50s, early 60s when they started getting into color theater
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. It really took off, and a lot of it was that we were coming from silent films to where you had people doing the method acting but not speaking,
Mm-hmm.
to now it's where they were trying to find a balance between the speaking and the method acting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was like they were going over the top too much, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that it was taking away from the story.
Yeah.
It's like, you can tell the story. And that's one of the things I think that got me about Vincent Price and this character is like he was forcing himself. And I think part of the problem for this is because there's three stories in one,
Right.
is that he was trying to keep the characters so separate for
Yeah.
him to play them that it kind of got meshed up too
Mm-hmm.
much and he kind of failed, in my opinion, to make them personable for those characters. They
Well,
got too much.
see, and I'm going to disagree with you a little bit because the second tale and the third tale, I mean, he was three different people, three separate people for each of the tales.
Yeah, I mean, he was, but the problem was is that his body language didn't change.
Mm-hmm.
His voice inflections did, but he carried his body language the same in all three.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's a lot of what Vincent Price was because he was one of those, he was kind of like Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff. They had the voice, but most of the time their body language didn't really change, no matter the different characters they were playing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that had a lot to do with, they did start in those early days when it was very much a silent film or static, to where they had to use their voices to do the acting.
Yeah.
Um,
It's true.
but but yes, I like the first story. And the second one, I'm gonna be honest, and people, I'm not going to say a lot about it because I can't, because I only watched like the first 3 minutes and then the last minute and a half.
Yeah.
So, because the Black Cat, I've read like twice my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't, I can't take it. And it wasn't that there was anything overt about it. The cat wasn't hurt,
Right.
but there was too much of emphasis that was, what's the word? The foreshadowing,
Okay.
where they were like, where the actual character was leaning towards to show the abuse to the cat.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it got me. I was like, I can't do that.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
was just bothered me too much because I'm
Yeah.
like, and then, and like I told you, I had a problem with that blonde lady. Who was the blonde lady that played that one?
So that actress, and we'll go deeper into
Hmm.
this, but the actress that, well, I lost my place. Hold on one second, and I'll pull it back up. There we go. So, and she returns in another of the Poe Corman films later down the road, and her name was Joyce Jameson,
Hmm.
and she was best known for, let me look that up while we're talking about it. She was in the Outlaw Josie Wales, Death Race
Yeah.
2000, The Apartment, Every Which Way But Loose. Those are some of the biggest known things that she did, and plus these two, this Corman film and another one. It was comedy of terrors.
Yep.
And so she plays the wife of the unnamed narrator in the Black Cat. And this
Hmm.
tale, they call it the Black Cat. However, they give her name, and she is Annabelle. So homage to Annabelle Lee. And
Hmm.
then you have Peter Lorre, who is her husband, and he is Montresor from the Cask of Amontillado. So
Hmm.
you can guess that Fortunato was played by Vincent Price.
Yes.
And so the story starts out, not to just go on and on about it, but the Black Cat is kind of walking along with Peter Lorre because it's his cat, and he goes home. He does get mad at the cat. There is one scene where you do see him pick him up, and he kind of tosses him. The cat, you can tell, is not hurt or anything, but Jeanie, I know reading the Black Cat story from Poe is very
Mhm.
disturbing. And so I totally agree with you on that. I do like that story because the cat gets the revenge in the end, in my opinion.
Well, I do like it for that because, Poe was an animal lover. We've talked about this and everything.
Absolutely. Yes.
So he makes the story as a complete circle type of
Yes.
thing, like the
Yes.
circle of life, which that's
Hmm.
great. And one of the things that I did enjoy is because Peter Lorre's character, when he's walking down the sidewalk,
Yeah.
you see this sign where the cat's walking across the little edge.
Yeah.
There's a sign that says Revere Silversmith.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, well, that's the homage to Boston
Yes.
because of Paul Revere, and he was a silversmith.
Yeah. That's
Um,
cool.
and so I was like, those little touches kind of caught me. But the one thing that just bothered me the most is when the guy, the unnamed narrator, who was Montresor,
Hmm.
comes in and he calls for his wife, and it's like she had this horrible, horrible accent,
Yeah.
and she mispronounced Montresor's name. She made it like Montsor, Montsor, and I was like, what the hell are you saying? I mean, it's like she tried to make it like, and even the way they had her dressed with that long blonde hair, I
Yeah.
immediately got thrown into Ellie Mae Clampett.
Yes, she was giving those vibes, definitely.
And especially when she started throwing in that horrible accent. So that's another thing that bothered me because I always hated when people did that to me. Because when they found out I'm from the East Tennessee Hills, I
Hmm.
must be a hillbilly and I got to talk like that. And I'm
Yeah.
like, good God, lady, it's Montresor, but
Yeah.
Montsor, what's wrong? I was like, oh,
Well,
please be quiet.
so the way that Corman kind of intertwined the Black Cat and the Cask of Amontillado
Mm,
was where Montresor hadn't worked for 17 years, as his wife Annabelle says. She
hmm.
sews on the side, and that's how they make their money. And he pretty much takes it and goes to the bar and drinks.
Yes.
Well, he gets thrown out. He takes the little bit of money that she has. He goes to a bar. He gets thrown out, and he stumbles into this wine like little convention.
Hmm.
And that's where he meets Fortunato, and who is Vincent Price. And
Right.
they're about to do a wine demonstration where Fortunato can detect any wine that he tastes. He can tell you exactly what it is, what year it was, bottled, and all of that. And then drunk Montresor is like, I can too.
Yeah.
So they go in a battle together, and they both come out like they both are winners. It's a tie or whatever. So
Yeah.
they become fast friends. And then he's so drunk that Fortunato has to carry him home, where Fortunato meets the lovely Annabelle. And you can put two and two together of how this story goes.
Yeah. There's that love triangle that,
Yes.
Poe has, but Poe's very delicate and in not introverted, but
Hmm.
Im intimated. There he goes. He
Yeah.
intimates to the story and leaves it to the imagination of the reader.
Yeah.
Whereas Corman, because it is a Hollywood movie, they got to make that love triangle so they can give it the Hollywood glam and all this. And which, it makes perfect sense. That's why I was saying, like, towards the end, when the bartender kind of forces Montresor to figure out that, oh, so you're kind of okay with Fortunato being with your wife at home, huh? And
Right.
he gets so angry and he goes, and then sure enough, Fortunato being the dapper man that he is, and being a very well regarded sommelier and all this kind of stuff, and he's
Hmm.
in love with the blonde, which
Yep.
is typical. Uh, so that's like, yeah, that's typical. So it
Yeah.
wasn't so much that it was too much like the Black Cat itself that I
Right.
disliked it.
Yeah.
It's just that I was like, it's a little too much beating you over the head with it by that point.
Yeah. Well, and the one thing that I really loved was they did include the Amontillado because of,
Hmm.
Montresor luring Fortunato down in the catacombs. We didn't have that, but we did have Montresor luring Fortunato to drink it at his house. And then bad things happen. The police come, and the one thing that the unnamed narrator in the Black Cat has is his hubris, and that's what gets him caught. Because the police, look around and make sure, where is his wife? She's been reported missing, and he just gets high on himself and was like, oh, look at this wall, this is all blah blah blah. And his hubris gets him caught. So,
Yeah, which
and the
is a
cat gives it
definite,
away.
yes, which is definitely a Poe staple in his
Yes.
stories.
Yeah,
Because hubris is always a downfall of man.
absolutely. And it's written so well.
Mhm.
That's why the Black Cat, my favorite part of that story is the ending because it's just so well done.
Yeah, and I will say that even though I couldn't force myself to watch the whole thing because I
Mhm.
just couldn't take the cat part of it, when I pushed towards the end that I could handle just to watch it,
Yeah.
I did like it a lot better than I liked the first one
Okay. That's good.
because it
Good.
felt like it was more of a completed story
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't just a chop up of like, oh no, death, despair, agony on me. Okay, sorry. I had my
Yeah.
hee haw flashback
All
there.
right. You're going what? Yeah, you're going off the rails.
Yeah. So,
Oh.
uh, and then it led into the third one where I'm like, great, here we go again.
Well, and let's talk about the actors and talk about a little bit about what the story is about. So, the
Hmm.
third one, The Facts in the Case of M. Valdemar, it had again Vincent Price. He was in all three. Basil Rathbone, who is right, his head is right behind me. And then
Hmm.
Debra Paget, and she is known for a movie called Broken Arrow, The Ten Commandments, and she was also in Elvis's first movie, Love Me Tender.
Hmm. I recognized her when I saw her. I was like, oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And so she's in that. And then there are two, let's see, one other actor who played the doctor. And let's see, I have to find him,
Hmm.
and I can't find him. I don't know why.
Hold on.
Wasn't it Dr. James? Yes.
Yeah.
Dr.
Dr.
James was
James.
played by David Frankham, and he was known for 101 Dalmatians. So he did some voice work. He was in Star Trek, just I think just like a guest on the episode. Master of the World. He was also in the House of Seven Gables and Jeanie. We're not digressing because Jeanie does not like the House of the Seven Gables.
I
So
am not even saying that because I don't even like to say that name. Yeah,
that's why I
David
said no,
Frankham
no,
played Dr.
Jeanie.
James. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So the story from Poe, The Facts in the Case of M. Valdemar, is a man who is dying of, I believe, tuberculosis,
Hmm.
and there is a mesmerist who comes in and at the point of death keeps him alive through mesmerism.
Yes,
And
and the way they built that was really weird, but okay.
yeah, oh yeah. And so in Poe's story, you have the Valdemar who is in this state of mesmerism, and then you have the doctor and you have the mesmerist, and that's it. So in this story, you have Vincent Price who plays Monsieur Valdemar,
Hmm.
and you have Debra Paget who plays his wife, and you
Hmm.
have Dr. James who is his actual doctor, and then you have the mesmerist who is played by Basil
There's
Rathbone.
a Rathbone.
Yes.
Yep.
And so, and I believe I wanted to make sure in Carmichael, it was Carmichael was Rathbone's character's name.
Yes.
And
Carmichael.
yeah, and so it does have a little bit more spin on it. There's no crazy love triangle or anything like that. But Vincent Price's character, Valdemar, knows he's going to die and tells Deborah Paget, his wife, that he wants her to marry Dr. James. And, because they've known each other for a very long time and he knows that he'll take care of her. But then you've got Carmichael, who is also like stalking her in a way and loving her from afar. And she doesn't even know it, but Dr. James is picking up on it. So things go awry once Vincent Price, Valdemar, is in his mesmeric state And in Poe's story, he's kept in this state for like 7 months. In the movie, let's see, Jeannie, how long did it was he in this state? Was it about the same time frame?
Yeah, it was about the same time frame because uh he made it to where Carmichael um they tried to convince Carmichael to let him go, to get him
Yes.
out of the mesmerism
Yeah.
because he, Dr. James, which I'll talk about that in a second,
Yeah.
but showed that he was actually dead, but he wasn't. He
Right.
was he was still speaking to them, and
And
this is one of the things
asking,
where I was like,
yeah,
yeah,
asking, please let me go. Let me go.
yes. But Carmichael refused because he wanted to study, the effects and how it was possible, and he was using him to kind of help further his own career by
Mhm.
keeping him alive, and I'm using air quotes.
Yeah.
And so yeah, but Dr. James and the wife, Deborah Paget's, what was Deborah Paget's name?
She was Helene.
Yeah,
Helene.
Helene.
Hmm.
Yeah. They were trying to convince Carmichael to let him go, to take him out of the trance and whatever. And he's like, no, I need to keep him in for just a little while longer. I need to learn more. I need to figure out where exactly he's at and
Yeah.
everything. So, Helene and Dr. James, they go off together and, because, I mean, in Voldemort is so far in this trance that pretty much his body is dead.
Oh yeah, and they show the physical changing too, and he looked
His
really bad.
mummified. Yeah, he looked like he was mummified. He was,
Yes.
the mummification was taking place in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, this is really strange.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's like, well, it's kind of on par for the course. However, it wasn't really because the body would have already started bloating and breaking down and all that, and
Yeah.
the blood and all that kind of stuff. But we're not
Oh
going to
yeah.
go into that gory stuff.
No.
Um, but I got the feel from the very first. It's like you could tell that Dr. James really loved Helene
Yes.
because they were the same age. They had known each other for a while. And, Vim Voldemort, Vincent Price's character, is like way old, you
Yeah,
know.
they even I liked how they made like, he had some white going right here, white
Yes.
hair, his eyebrows, his, beard and mustache were
Mustache,
all
yes.
white. They showed him as being probably what, 30-ish years older than her, maybe
Yeah,
30.
he looked more like her grandfather than her husband.
Yes, yes.
Uh, and so, but you instantly like M. Voldemort's character
Hmm.
because even though he's suffering, he knows he's going to die. He's wanting to uh, try this mesmerism to give him a little bit extra time. But at the same time, he's putting in motion things because he makes Helene promise that she will marry Dr. James once he's gone because he doesn't think that this mesmerism is going to be keeping him for very long because he thinks Carmichael is just going to do the experiment
Yeah,
and everything, and then he's going to slowly cross over to the other side or wherever it
right.
is he needs to go.
Yeah,
Because that's what I got from this is that M. Voldemort's character is depending on Carmichael not to keep him alive, but to help him cross over.
yes. And Carmichael had a whole nother agenda.
Hmm.
And at one point, he is somehow trained Voldemort to say that he wants Helene to marry Carmichael, not
Hmm.
Dr. James. And
Yes.
yeah, that's where it goes off the deep end, is about that point.
Yeah, that's when it goes off the rails and you're going, okay,
Yeah.
dokie.
And
Uh,
and basically what happens to M. Voldemort in Poe's story and in this tale are the physicality of it, of his death, is the same. It's just in post story, it only has the effect of it's gruesome, and the mesmerist, the doctor, is like, whoa, my gosh. And then
Mhm.
in this, because I don't want to give too much away, and then in this tale, more effects I think are felt based on how, like, the
It's
goriness
Hollywood
of it.
horror.
Yes,
It's
and
it's
what he
Hollywood
does.
horror in its finest in this one.
Yeah, what he does as he's dying. And so,
Yeah.
again, we want you to watch the movie.
Yeah. So that's why we're kind of just skirting around a few things, but at the
Yeah.
same time, the third one had definitely more of a story than the first one, in my opinion.
Hmm.
However, it did have a little bit of that melodramatic that like the first one had, to where it was like, oh, you could see it coming from half a mile away, and you're going, no,
Yeah.
don't. But
But I think these three were very well chosen to put together. You might as well kind of say four because of the Cask of Amontillado embedded. So I don't know. I like
and
that
the
they
Fall of the House of Usher and the Telltale Heart from the first one, because what
hint,
happens at the
hint.
end, the hinting,
Yeah.
like at the end of the first one, you've got like, that's not really in that story, but it goes with another Poe story.
Yeah. There were
Uh,
definitely lots of Edgar Allan Poe Easter eggs, I guess you could say.
yeah, exactly. So, but it's definitely homage to Poe. That
Yeah.
wasn't just them creating a whole new genre, like the Black Cat movie with 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 Boris and uh Bela Lugosi,
Oh
where
yeah,
it was
that was
like,
way before this one.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, the only thing that was even close to being part of Edgar Allan Poe was the name, the Black Cat.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
this
So
one definitely, it hit some of the major parts of what gave Edgar Allan Poe his horror moniker,
yeah, I agree with you.
because it was all about the psychological horror.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, and I do say that a lot of the things I had problems with some of the stories had problems because of the supporting cast to Vincent Price.
Okay. Yeah.
It wasn't strong enough in the first one, to where I think that's why Vincent was struggling so bad, because he was trying to carry the whole thing.
Yeah, and I would probably agree that yes, he was carrying the whole thing. Not that the two actresses, the one that played Lenora, the one that
Yeah.
played Morella, were bad, but their parts, like Lenora's part, was larger than Morella,
Yeah, but it
definitely.
was still surface level.
Yeah.
That's part of the problem. There was no development of their characters.
Yeah. You wonder if other actresses had been in it, how different it might have been.
Yeah. Because and that's like with the second one, even though Annabelle's character was, in my opinion, horrid with the accent and everything else, it
Hmm.
wasn't that she was a bad actress. There was actually good characters, actors, that kind of helped overlook her flaws,
Yeah.
because you had Peter Lorre, and I mean, he was phenomenal. You had Vincent Price, and then of
Mhm.
course you had the bartender and all this. So you had some really good supporting actors that
Mhm.
allowed Vincent to spread his wings, so to
Yeah.
speak.
And the banter between
Hmm.
Price and Lori was so, the chemistry was so perfect. And when Fortunato, says the line from
Yeah.
the story, it's it's very close to the very end. For the love of God, Montresor. And then
Yes.
Lori repeats it very just straight. for the love of God, Montresor. It's just brilliant. That was just brilliant.
I've always been a fan of Peter Lorre with
Yes.
everything that I watched him, and it was like he had that presence. He had a presence like Vincent Price did.
Yeah. Oh
Even
yeah. And
though
his
that
voice
Peter
too.
Lorre, yeah, even though maybe Peter Lorre was not as prominent and well known as being one of the Hollywood elite because he kind
Right.
of didn't fit the tall, dark, handsome, Cary Grant,
Hmm.
Clark Gable, because he was a smaller uh stature,
Hmm.
bald headed. Well, might as well say bald headed. He did have some hair, but not a lot.
Yeah. Well, and he was a lot thinner when you think of Casablanca, because
Yeah,
he had a role in that was pivotal.
yeah. So it's like the few things that it was his voice
Yeah.
that always made him more noticeable.
Hmm.
And then, like with Basil Rathbone, his facial features and the way he carried himself, it fit that. I hate to use the cookie cutter outfit type of thing, but it was because in those days, because you look at Vincent, you look at Clark Gable, you look at Cary Grant, and all the rest of them, they had those cookie cutter outlines of the type of men that they wanted to put on the screens.
Yeah.
And Basil Rathbone fit that.
Yeah.
He was he was good, but
Hmm.
he was a lot more static in his emotions, in my opinion,
Yeah.
than Vincent.
Yeah.
Even though Vincent kind of he had some ups and downs on some things.
Yeah, well, and Peter Lorre and Basil Rathbone both are, and was it Joyce Jameson?
Hmm.
They all come back for the comedy of terrors, so
Yes.
they're all in that with
Yeah.
Vincent
So
Price.
yeah, and so they you could tell that their on screen and their off screen chemistry was already there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I
So.
think we have come to the time of
Mhm.
black cat hisses and raven caws, Jeanie.
Woo! So, do we want to do it as a whole for the film, or do we want to do it for each portion? Because there's technically three stories in one here.
Yeah, I almost think we should do it as a whole.
Yeah, me too. I just
Overall,
wanted to make sure.
yes, I think so. Do you want to
All
go
right.
first?
Nope, you go first.
Okay. All right. So I totally enjoyed this film. It is definitely not my favorite Corman film. However, I probably the thing that I love the most is how close to Poe stories that these were
Mhm.
above the other Corman films. So that's one thing that puts it high on my list. I do think that the acting is superb. It's probably kind of like I agree with you, Jeanie, that it's not Vincent's best work in all three of them, like some of the other films, like Fall of the House of Usher, Mask of the Red Death, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
But I think that the Cask of Amontillado and the Facts in the Case of M. Valdemar, I think his acting is, again, I'm going to use the same word, superb. And so the supporting cast was really great. I think that Corman captured the setting for each of the three stories with the gothic essence and the Victorian, homes and things like that. And to me, the cask of Vermont, I'm sorry, the black cat, even though it's like the black cat cask, uh,
Yeah, there you go.
it it's like it was more of a homey type story because you do have this home that's not as elaborate as the Gothic mansion that was in the first story of Morella. and you've got the bar scenes. And so that one, that particular tale, the second one, is my favorite of all three. And it just pushes to it over the edge. And I think part of this too, one of the reasons I like this film is because Morella has hardly ever been adapted. Neither has The Black Cat. The Cask of Amontillado has, in some regards, been adapted, but it's not been like movie adapted, like a full length movie. And then The Facts in the Case of M. Baltimore has hardly been adapted. And so that to me, I think Corman chose wisely when he put those three together. I also love the costumes are beautiful. In when you see some of these older movies that have that gothic essence, like I'm trying to think, Dragonwyck with Vincent Price. You've got I can't think off the top of my head. I'll think of one in a minute. But anyway, Dragonwyck's a good example. It's black and white. Now you've got these costumes in color and just the vibrancy of them. The men's dressing gowns, they're just it's everything is just crafted so beautifully. And so it's building that Victorian Gothic world that is Poe. And I think he captured that very well. So I'm going to go with, for Raven Cause, I'm going to go with five. I almost said four. I decided five for all those reasons I just said. Black Cat Hisses, I'm only going to go with two. And I do believe, I agree with you, Jeanie, on that, on Morella. It seemed like there was a bit of that melodrama that took away from the story. And because I know that in what, because I watched it all the way through, it felt like Morella was taking a whole lot longer than it should have.
Mm-hmm.
And so that that's my take.
All righty. Well, this is where it's going to go really flip flop here because for me, the setting or the setup with using Morella as the first story in the Tales of Terror,
Mm-hmm.
I think is what caused the downfall for me
Okay.
because it it set my expectations at such a low bar
Mm-hmm.
and already had me regretting watching it because I was just one bored out of my mind because
Mm-hmm.
everything was dragging so long, even with the placement, the body movement, the speaking. It was like, what's the point? You're not. It was like a broken record that just
Okay.
kept skipping. And I just couldn't get past that until the very end of the story. And then it was like, it's like they just pushed it onto you to the point of where, you know, how beating yourself over the head with it kind
Yeah,
of thing.
yeah, I do.
So then when we went into the beginning of the Black Cat, I mean, of course, I love the cat part. The cat was very well placed to start it out. And then I loved how they had the historical aspects of it, like I said, with Revere's silversmith
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of thing. And then, of course, Peter Lorre's character. But then when they brought in the Annabelle character, and it's like, oh no, you didn't. And then that kind of went, so then I got a little bit of bringing back in the middle, but I was still got a bad taste in my mouth from the first one. So I'm like, oh, I'll just go on the way to the third one. And
Yeah.
by the time the third one came around, it was like, oh goody, we just went across the sandbar and we're drowning because it's like, goody, we're gonna get hit in the head all over again because they didn't hit upon certain aspects of the story that could have made it that much better.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like they were too tied up with the doctor and his melodramatic ways, and poor Helene,
Mm-hmm.
which some of the female characters, that's one of the things, and I'm not going to blame Corman, but some aspects of the directors and stuff in those days, they mismanaged the female characters.
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell that from this story because it was all about hysterics for those type of actresses.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, boom, and they faint.
Yeah.
And then they get carried off. I'm like, good Lord, how much these women weigh that people can just pick them up and just carry them off at the drop of a hat? It's like,
Oh.
and they have the size of a quarter a waist. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, so I think the beginning story, mental recovery a little bit, but then by the end of it, you're right back to where it's like, yeah, I don't think I'll watch this again.
Okay.
So I'm going to start with Black Cat Hisses.
Okay.
I'm going 4.5
All right.
because even though they did pay homage and give Edgar Allan Poe his rightful, place with the stories, that
Mm-hmm.
he did write the stories and they used as much of it, they did not do them enough justice, in my opinion.
Okay.
They made them too Hollywood and too melodramatic.
Okay.
So that's why I'm only giving it 2 Ravencaws.
Okay.
Because one, Vincent Price.
Mm-hmm.
It's Vincent Price. Two, 1A, it's Vincent Price and some very good supporting actors.
Yeah.
Uh, but two is that they did incorporate a lot of Poe
Yeah.
in the stories.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So yeah, so I'm kind of on the flip side of the coin for you this
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So
And that we were due for a total opposite.
yeah, yeah, and I guess one of the things that bothered me is was one of the things that bothered me the most when they started making the horror movies like Halloween and Friday the 13th and
Mhm.
Nightmare on Elm Street. They lost the story. It was
Mhm.
all about either the dramatics of the romance or the blood and the gore.
Mhm.
So it turned into Hollywood horror
Yeah.
instead of actual horror.
Yeah.
And that's where I felt this one kind of let me down because it was like, gave me the vibes of this is where it kind of started.
Okay.
And that part of it kind of made me mad at them because I'm like, you're not letting just Poe's story be the story.
Yeah.
You're making it too Hollywood.
Okay.
So yeah, that's where I was at with it.
Okay. Well, I
But
think I think, it's okay that we are
disagree. Yeah,
disagreeing because like I said, I think we were due to have one that's almost the exact opposite.
exactly. And then it's
Oh,
just like with any of the other ones that we review and stuff. These are just our own personal critiques. These are our
yeah,
opinions.
absolutely.
So
So
people
what?
can watch it and go, "Hey, okay, that don't agree."
So for January, what are we reviewing next?
Okay, for our next love, we are doing The Raven.
Ah, okay.
Yes. This
Yes,
once more has Vincent Price, has Peter Lorre, and we get Boris Karloff.
yes, and Helen Court.
Yeah, they don't have her listed on here.
Okay. Yes.
But this one
Well,
is,
and Jack Nicholson it's one of his first films.
oh yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah, he looks so young.
Oh yeah, well this was 1963,
Yes.
So what was it? Was he even 20?
I don't know. I don't know when he was born.
Hold on, and we will see. Hold on.
Or save it till we review in January.
True, that's true.
Let's do that.
Oh yeah, he was only a year younger than my dad. So, uh, yeah, so we get to talk about that. Uh, oh, and then Boris, he's got that look.
Yes.
I think the song "You've Got the Look" was written about Boris Karloff.
Oh, cool.
'Cause it just reminds me so much. It's like, oh, that would be him.
Oh yeah. And
And go ahead.
I've seen The Raven multiple times.
Yeah, and this one, it's interesting. It is definitely interesting the way they've got the premise for it. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Oh, it'll be a good one to talk about.
Yes, it will.
Well, I
And
think
that January when? Before or after Poe's birthday?
it'll probably be around close to Poe's birthday, which is
Yeah, that's what
January
I was
19th.
thinking.
So,
Okay. All
yeah.
right. Cool. So yeah.
And so
fun-
this episode is going to be the episode before Christmas, even though we are releasing a holiday Christmas special on December 23rd. So please look for that, which is coming up
Yeah.
just very, very soon next week. And I think everyone's going to really like it. It's going to have lots of different readings from some of our favorite people in the Poe community.
Yes. And some of them may not just be readings. They could be their, own and original stories.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
So it's
Readings,
going to be exciting.
recitations, and their own works and works of others. So
Yep.
it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yes.
Merry Christmas. Merry
Yes.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Merry Pomus.
Yes, Merry Pumas. And on that note, we
We
are
are
Ho
out.